Every once in a while, I like to go back and talk about the origins of Beyond Body, mostly because I know that there are new subscribers coming to my channel, and perhaps they haven't taken the time to go back and look at some of the previous videos that I've done on the Beyond Body. I've talked about the difference between astral projection and the Beyond Body, but I wanted to go back and talk about how it all began for me and kind of go back through time for you a little bit. And this is kind of for those of you who may see the Beyond Body and wonder, what is this? What is Beyond Body? What does that actually mean? So the Beyond Body was a name that my mom and I came up with, and I have to give most of the credit to my mother. When I first began describing the experiences to my mother, I think we both realized that this sounded different. Normally, when I astral project, and when I've astral projected previously, there was a sense of separation from the body. But this new thing that began happening to me, it felt as if my entire body was moving through space. Well, actually, it was barreling through space like a cannonball or something. I felt at times as if I was shooting through space, but it was not. It was my entire body. It wasn't like there was a moment of the vibrations and then there was a separation. This was more like I could feel this wave of energy coming toward me, like a tsunami of energy as I've described it. And then when that tsunami would hit, it would be almost as if I was riding a wave of energy. But again, it was my whole body. That's what it felt like. That's what I perceived it to be, not just my spirit being separating. And so my mother just kind of said, this sounds just like it's like just beyond body. And so I guess the term kind of stuck. And that's kind of how we came to the name Beyond Body, because this was not, or it didn't seem to be, an astral body kind of experience. So what was it called? It was called the Beyond Body. I first began having these experiences in the hospital after my accident. And my accident changed so many things in my life. Before my accident, I was walking basically 2 miles a day to go to the gym. After my accident, that just simply wasn't possible. I had to walk, and I am currently walking with a cane, and that's how I get around. And my right leg it doesn't bend really much at all, if any. So it has been a huge change to my life. But that's when all this stuff began. And I'll always remember that when I was in the hospital and I was really tired, I would shut my eyes and I would start to see these things. And now the things I would see were very murky. I mean, it was almost like seeing it through a foggy window, if you could picture this for a moment. Picture looking through a foggy window and witnessing things. That's what it was in the very beginning. So I could barely see what the landscapes were and all those things. It was still very distant to me. And again, something that I had said before, I honestly thought it was the drugs they were giving me. I thought those drugs, because they gave me some serious painkillers in the beginning because of the pain that was associated with my leg. So I thought, wow, these drugs must be pretty powerful, because I'm seeing this stuff when I close my eyes. I've never seen this stuff before, so it's got to be the drugs. It wasn't until months later when I came home and after I got off the painkillers and all the other things that I was on, because of what had happened to me, it was only after that I, when I started seeing these things, when I would close my eyes, and it was always happening. By the way, I should tell you, it was always happening in the morning, like really early in the morning. Like I'd be getting up, it'd be like maybe 5 or 6, maybe I'd go to the restroom or something like that, and I lay down and I would just shut my eyes, and immediately I would start seeing these things. It's very difficult to explain to you, but again, I'll go back to this thing of seeing through almost a foggy window. I would see things, and I remember one of the first things I saw, and one of the first things I remember seeing was I would see one of the first things I remember this very clearly. I could see legs walking back and forth from the perspective of either a toddler or a small child. That was the first thing I would see. I remember I would see these legs, and I remember being in this area. It was almost like a downtown kind of an area, and I was on the street, presumably with my mother, father, or whoever it was. Now, I don't have any memory like this in my memory of growing up. I don't have any memory of this ever happening, but this was the first thing I saw. I would see legs. I remember seeing women with high heels and stockings and business shoes, business people with suit pants. But again, I was seeing it from the perspective of someone who was obviously very short and just seeing legs walking back and forth. And I thought, what is this? What am I seeing? In the beginning, I have to tell you, I thought I was losing my mind at first, because I'm like, why am I seeing this? What's going on? And again, I have to say that I am grateful, very grateful to my mother for assuring me that I was still sane. Previous to this, again, astral projection was simply a part of my life. It was something that would happen to me, maybe once every few weeks or whatever. I would go on a journey and I would do things, I would see things, whatever. This was a thing that was just something that was accepted for me. And I would have these experiences and I would just be like, there was astral projection, and then there was my life, and that was it. And I had other things going on in my life. I would never have thought at that time to start a YouTube channel. I would never have even come into my mind. I mean, I was going to the gym 5 times a week. Of course I was working and I had other things that were going on. But again, astral projection was something that was sort of in the background. It was my own little private thing. I would go on these journeys, but I would tell very few people, if any people, really, about this. I would just kind of keep it to myself. In the beginning with the Beyond Body, I do remember that I told my mom, I was like, as we began to discuss this and began to realize that there was something happening here, there was a reason why I was seeing these things. I remember telling my mom, or saying to my mother, I said, I think maybe I'm, experiencing some sort of past life thing. Maybe I'm going, and seeing myself as a child in another lifetime or whatever. I had seen other things. I had seen a motel, and I did a video about this a while ago in the Beyond Body, where I saw a motel, and I was in the back of a station wagon, and I could see clearly this motel was an old style, maybe 60s type of motel. And I remember there were people jumping. There was a pool. I could see the pool, and there were people jumping in the pool. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. And so I had, I guess, decided that this is what it was. I was going back to some past life, and that was it, right? But I have to tell you, my mother was the person who first told me, don't limit yourself. It's something that I say a lot on this channel, and I have to say that I got that from her as well. Do not limit yourself. She said this could be so much bigger than what you're saying, not just going back to one period of time, perhaps another past life or something like that, but this could be huge. Just go with it. Just allow it to reveal itself. And I have to tell you, I did. I stopped putting limits on it. I stopped saying it's this. This is another thing that I preach about, and on this channel, is to not try to define exactly what's going on. Right? Be open. Don't limit yourself. It could be anything. Be open to anything. And so I allowed that to be the case. Now, it went from looking out a foggy window to, at one point, suddenly moving through space and actually being in that place that I was seeing. So at first, it was seeing that place at a distance through this foggy window, and then suddenly I was being propelled into that place and actually being there and feeling things. The beyond body is the differences in the beyond body and the astral projection. One of the major differences that I feel is that it is basically being, for me, in the 3D world, but in another universe. You're walking around, and at least for me, I'm inhabiting some version of myself, just kind of hanging out and looking around, just as if I would be doing the same in this world, in this 3D world. When I astral project, yes, I am experiencing this reality, but it is not like being in the 3D world. It just really isn't. You don't feel the same. And it is this sense when you astral project that you can be anywhere at any given moment. You understand that on some level that you could travel back through time instantly with a single thought, or you could fly around the world in moments, whatever. There are no limitations. But when you're in the beyond body, or at least when I've been in the beyond body, although I've visited places that don't share our same laws, our same physical laws, like my previous episode where I talked about seeing a screen that was water that was suspended in midair, and by every physical law that I know in this world, that would not be possible. It just isn't the same as being able to travel anywhere instantaneously, which is what I feel when I am astral projecting. You know, it's interesting. The beyond body is one of those things where I'm sure there could be people listening to this thinking, well, the astral projection sounds so much more interesting and exciting because you can go anywhere and be any place. But I have been so fascinated in the last few years with the beyond body and what is possible with that. The fact that in some of these places, it is a 3D world, and yet you can fly and do all these other different things in this 3D world, in this other universe that you're in, depending on the universe, depending on the rules, whatever the laws are, whatever the physical laws are in those universes. So it has been always extremely fascinating to me. Plus, I never know where I'm going to go and what variation of this world I'm going to see. So it is amazing. And I can feel things. I have experimented with this where I've felt things. I felt a purse once where I squeezed it. I very gently touched an infant child once on the forehead just to feel it, and I've smelled beef stew in a place that I was in before, which was very interesting, quite fascinating. So I've experienced these things, and so the beyond body, man, I can't get enough of it at this point, though I still do love to astral project because astral projection is amazing. It's just another way to be able to travel and to explore. And as my mother has said, and I completely agree with this, I am a traveler. And so there are different ways, just as you could board a plane and go around the world, or go on a ship and go to another place, or even go on a bus or drive in a car. There are different modes to be able to get to the places you want to get to, and you can explore these different places in the same way. For me, there's astral projection and there is the beyond body. Anyway, thank you so much for taking a moment out of your day to listen to this. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.